Raging Bull. There's so few films that really engage you and that are seared in your memory, and this is one of them.
I think maybe when this film was released, a lot of people felt like they had been punched in the face. The blood and the sweat and the tears are all up there on that screen.
I was amazed at how beautifully constructed, how deeply violent, how emotionally truthful, and how in its own orbit it is. It's an extraordinary experience.
It's relentless. You couldn't get settled. And I think that was probably part of Scorsese's strategy, like a boxer, to keep you off guard. You never knew what he was going to come at you with.
So much more than a boxing film. Raging Bull really ultimately is not about boxing at all.
In terms of its observations about human nature, the portrait of a man and his fall from grace, this has got a power to it. There's not a false note along the way.
First and foremost, what I found amazing was the boxing scenes. You get so much innovation in those scenes.
The way in which Scorsese and Michael Chapman filmed those sequences. To this day, it's groundbreaking.
Increasing the size of the ring, decreasing the size of the ring. Each fight is being covered in a different way, as if it's like a dance.
The use of slow motion, the use of flash bulbs, the use of point of view that allow the viewer to see what it's like to hear in the ring, what it's like to feel. You really have that visceral reaction. You're inside the ring.
The black and white cinematography, in a strange way, makes you pay closer attention to the violence. You can just feel the pain on screen.
And Robinson is down for the second time in his career.
But not only are you inside the ring, you're inside their heads. Really accessing those fears and those emotions.
There was a kind of visceral power to those boxing scenes. You really kind of just are caught up in the fury of them.
Another left, a hard left hand to the jaw.
Jake's a fascinating character. On first glance, the question would have been, how could you take somebody so unsympathetic and build an entire movie around them?
Coffee.
In a minute.
You listening to me?
Please, honey, bring me the coffee.
All right.
Oh.
Yeah, boy, how long I gotta wait?
Jake LaMotta, that guy is not an attractive human being, but more importantly than someone you might like, he's an interesting person and, profoundly human.
I just said don't overcook it. You're overcooking it. Bring it over.
You want your steak?
Bring it over.
I think people would see images of themselves.
Okay, happy?
That's all I want. That's all I want.
Here, no more, there.
Bothering me about a steak, huh? You bothering me about a steak?
Perhaps we don't go to those degrees, but certainly you say, wow, I understand that.
What are you worried about? What's the biggest thing you got to worry about? The
I'm
weight?
worried about the weight.
You worried about the weight?
What are we arguing about for? I just said the weight.
You understand his frustrations, particularly the scene where he says, I'm never going to get to be able to fight Joe Louis because I got tiny hands.
I got these small hands. I got like little girls' hands.
Here's, Jake LaMotta, and he's plenty big enough, but in his mind, he's not.
I ain't never gonna get a chance to fight the best there is. And you know something? I'm better than him.
Scenes like that make us love him and, fall in love with him.
De Niro, I felt like he was born to inhabit this man.
Animalistic. When you see the performance that De Niro gave, you just think of a lion parading around the ring. What struck me is his behavior, his physicality, the way he would move in a room without any dialogue.
Really nice of you, I appreciate it. Come on.
He'll look at Joe Pesci or Kathy Moriarty without any lines.
So long, honey.
There's an uncertainty in the performance. You feel slightly off guard.
Come here.
Why don't you stop that, huh? Stop it!
Shut up! Shut up! I'll fucking take care of you later. Shut up!
It's a very frightening character. That level of danger is always going to make it impossible to look away from the screen.
The film gives him a broad range of physicality. He gets to be a brother, he gets to be romantic, he gets to be sexual, he gets to be violent. It really allowed him the greatest range of his career.
When I saw the transformation that Robert De Niro went, gaining 50, 60 pounds, and you realize the level of commitment.
They told him, you don't have to gain all this weight. We can put prosthetics and, we can pad your body. And then he was determined to do it. And it meant shutting down production, which is really difficult to do. But when he gains that weight, and then he's partly unrecognizable, it's such a wonderful jolt for the audience.
A horse. My kingdom for a horse. I haven't had a winner in 6 months.
It wasn't just padding. It was that he had become that guy.
I'd never seen that degree of kind of masochism before. Willing to just completely destroy himself for a role. You're almost afraid for De Niro in his transformation. Is he gonna survive this movie?
Jack, tell me why. Why the fuck do we have to come to Cleveland for you to get beat by Moulignon?
Joe Pesci, perfectly cast as the brother.
Joe Pesci, another guy you just never know in a scene where it's gonna go.
Shut up. Mind your fucking business and shut up.
A sense of pathos and rage that you just never know when that's going to surface.
Nothing going on?
Pesci, De Niro, this was their first collaboration together, and it was such a necessary supporting role.
That has to be at least 50% of why the movie is brilliant. You get to keep coming back to this primary relationship about two brothers. I mean, I particularly love the scene when he's saying, you know, hit me, hit me, hit me.
Harder, harder, harder.
That's hot. You fuck. What do you want?
Take it off.
Jake is trying to get him to hit him for all kinds of deep reasons. He needs to prove that he's small, and he needs to prove that he's not small, and he needs to get intimacy, and that's his way of getting it, is through violence.
Harder, harder.
Nah, your fucking cuts are opening and everything. What are you trying to prove? What does it prove?
I find that incredibly intimate because these characters are going into a terrain emotionally that they didn't plan on.
You fuck my wife.
What?
You fuck my wife.
When he starts asking if he slept with his wife, it's a scene that you feel like I shouldn't be here. I feel nervous for being there.
I'll make you again. Did you or did you not?
It makes you giddy with excitement and fear of what the hell this guy's gonna do.
I'm telling you now, if I hear anything, I swear on our mother, I'm gonna kill somebody.
Kathy Moriarty, this was one of her first big roles, and her performance was indelible. It seemed just like a stroke of genius to find her and to cast her.
Vicky!
Just watching her throughout the picture, she really connected to Jake, to Joe Pesci, to that world.
You wanna go for a ride?
There's an innocence, there's a tenderness, there's a curiosity.
All right. Gotta give me a few minutes. I have to change, okay?
Kathy Moriarty inhabited that role with almost like a guilelessness. She was almost kind of shrugging at the fact that there were even cameras there. It was just so authentic. She was stepping onto a stage with this intimidating monster of a character who she was able to stand up to.
He beats her up. I mean, that scene in the bathroom, you know, he's slapping her left and slapping her right.
Why'd you do it? Why'd you do it? Why did you fuck them?
Dude, what? I didn't do anything. I fucked all of them. What do you want me to say?
It's extraordinary. Again, why do we keep watching?
My wife!
When I saw a lot of the violence in Raging Bull, it was done with such a degree of authenticity. It was the first time when I saw a film where I felt like the actors were really being physically hurt.
If you're going to deal with a character that unloads this much violence on other people, I think you have to ground it with a kind of spirituality and a kind of morality, because you have the maturity and the underbearing of the moral struggle that Scorsese brings to everything. You feel like you're in good hands. That final scene when he's in the Dade County prison really was the whole movie for me.
Why?
That's the Catholicism finally coming back to haunt a man, make a man reckon with who he is and what he's done.
It's one of the most emotional scenes I've ever seen put on film. You just want to reach through the screen and say, please stop hurting yourself.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Madison Square Garden feature attraction.
It's sort of interesting to look back and see how it was received.
What are you doing, Jake? Come on!
It kind of got mixed reviews and people were baffled or disturbed by it.
It may be that it's an acquired taste. It may have been that Jake was such an unlikable character. It may be that that level of violence at first is not completely transparent as to how brilliant it is.
The Oscars are not a meritocracy. The fact that Raging Bull didn't win Best Picture or that Scorsese didn't win Best Director is a travesty, because it's one of the greatest films ever directed.
I see so much inspiration in Raging Bull today in my career. Anyone who's trying to make personal films, who's taking risks, owes a great debt to Martin Scorsese.
In the 90s, I think you see a resurgence of the auteurs. You saw Spike Jonze, you saw David Russell, you saw Wes Anderson, Darren Aronofsky. I don't know if they were literally influenced by Scorsese, but clearly the strength of his personality, his ability to make a personal vision, I think you saw reflected in those movies.
Raging Bull. It made me want to become a filmmaker.
When I die, my tombstone will have my real name on it. Until then, I'm just gonna stay bad.
In my first picture, I wanted to get across adultery, failed love, alcoholism, redemption. That's what I felt like I had to do, was to tell a story in that fashion.
I've done a lot of bad things, Joey. Maybe it's coming back to me.
I'm completely intrigued by interpersonal relationships, by emotional and physical violence, by masculinity, by brotherhood. Having seen all those themes done so beautifully in Scorsese's movies, I wanted to be able to do them in my own movies.
Okay, superstar.
So particularly with the building of Brandantino, we thought if there was a girl who wanted to be like a guy, what guys would she model herself after? She's gonna model herself after, you know, Jake LaMotta and Raging Bull.
You fucker! You motherfucker!
It also helped me understand the boundaries, how far you can go.
You fucking pervert. Are you a girl or are you not?
Boys Don't Cry does push the boundaries of emotional and physical violence, so I was very happy to be able to tap into that.
I'm the kind of guy who appreciates a good punch to the face. That's what cinema should do to us.
Such a searing portrait, so well directed, so beautifully acted and written. This is a film that will continually rank among one of the great films of all time.
It was from the gut. It did those things that movies are supposed to do. It took you to a place that you didn't know, you know, with techniques that you're unfamiliar with. That's what is possible with cinema. It will stand the test of time.